I'm Ted of Boyko Racing, and I'm here today to give you some tech tips on changing the oil on your dirt bike and why is it necessary to do it so often. The reason why you have to change it so often, unlike the older bikes, is the oil capacity. It's less than the older bikes. So the key is to changing it often because it only holds like a quart depending on the brand. Yamaha, Kawasaki, or Honda, they're all similar. So they hold small quantities of oil. The key is changing them out every time you go ride. Also, today we're teaching about when you are changing your oils, you always want to change out the oil filter on the bike as well. Address that because it's so inexpensive. It's one less thing. People try to stretch it out and do it every other ride. You can do that, but I would be it's so inexpensive. Throw an oil filter on there every time you change your oil. You'll get a lot more life out of it. Okay, the next step we're going to do is we're going to gather up all the tools we need and we're going to walk over to the lift and we're going to show you guys how to change your own oil and show you the do's and the do-nots. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and you got a drain plug here, which is your motor cavity. You got two cavities here. You want to make sure you can drain them both at the same time if you like. So there's both draining as we speak. While we're letting that drain, we're going to go ahead and show you how to change the oil filter as well. What we're doing here right now is going to change the oil filter. And the style that we're putting on is the paper element, which is a OE oil filter. We're going to go ahead and toss in the new oil filter. Basically, you want to set that thing right in there. And what I would do, first off, take a rag and let's clean that oil cavity out there. Make sure you get any debris or anything that's in there so you have a nice clean oil cavity. So we're going to pop this thing in just like that. Make sure you get the spring in the right. There's a spring behind the oil filter. Also take the cover and wipe off any dirt or anything that may cause this case or this cover to leak. Also, you want to look at the O-ring. Inspect the O-ring. It's not necessary to change all the time, but just inspect the O-ring and make sure that it's in proper order. Go ahead and stick the cap back on. Make sure the surfaces are all clean like we talked about. Run your bolts in there loosely. And run her in there slowly. And you want to make sure you don't over tighten these. You always want to make sure your crush washers are in good shape. And if they are in good shape, you can go ahead and run your old ones like we're getting ready to do here. We have the clutch side all drained, or still draining rather. So we're going to go ahead and run this other drain plug right back in here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and run this thing back in. Like I said, you want to make sure that that bolt goes in there nicely without cross-threading. You can use a T-handle or use a extension like I'm doing myself. Okay. So there we go. Drain plugs are in. You just want to make sure make sure they're tight. Snug them up by hand. We're good and tight. Check on the bottom, and we're good there as well. Take the dipstick out. Wipe it. Make sure it has any debris or anything on that dipstick before you put the oil in it. We're going to go ahead and show you how to do this with the motor oil in a ratio right I prefer to use the ratio right because it's pretty simple when it comes to putting the amount of oil that you're installing. We got everything ready. We're going to go ahead and pour the oil in the unit. After you install the motor oil like we did, you have yourself your dipstick. You're going to want to take it and run it all the way in. Make sure that the level is going to be decent. Pull it back out, double check it. I got the level right on the money, so we're good there on the oil. And you're going to want to recheck it after you fire it up as well. Okay, we're going to go around and show you how to install the oil on the clutch side, and we're going to have to make a move here, and we'll show you just how to do that. Okay, where we left off was we just got done changing the oil on the motor side. We're now going to show you how to change oil or add the oil to the clutch side. I want to show you some things to teach all you guys on how much oil to install on the clutch side of your bikes. All the brands usually have on the side of the case the amount of oil for each motor. They're all different, Honda, Yamaha, and they're either by the Kickstarter or somewhere on the clutch cover side. On this Honda 450, it says right here on the clutch cover 670 cc's of oil. Here you get yourself your ratio right that tells you in cc's exactly how many cc's of oil to put in here, so you can install exactly 670 and not make any mistakes on the amount of oil. So here we're going to install today in the clutch side the motorcycle transmission lube by Maxima 80 weight. This is a decent oil. I've been using the Maxima brand for quite a while. It's decently priced and good quality stuff. So right now we're going to go ahead and pour the oil in the ratio right. It only holds 500 cc's, so you're going to put in a little bit at a time. You're going to pull the kickstarter back, pull the cap off. Pretty simple. Get yourself a decent funnel. This one, on this particular unit, you kind of want this longer one. It's the way the cavity is on the clutch side. So you want to pour slowly so you don't have any come out of the side of the case. So if you pour slow, you'll find out that it doesn't make a mess and goes in properly. If you try to overfill it too quick, it'll start going all over the side case. So you just got to pour slowly. So that's all in. Let it drain with the, make sure it gets completely drained in there and there's no oil pouring out of the case. So far so good. Let's wipe off any excess oil that may have dripped down the side. Make sure that O-ring cavity is clean. Wipe the O-ring and you can go ahead and install the oil cap, and you're done doing what we're doing today. Hopefully we taught you some good tech tips on how to save money and give you a little more life out of your dirt bikes.